Most welcome to the Voice of Evolution. And so, as we are hitting this beautiful, most powerful, most intense lunar eclipse, it truly means it hits the end of the game, the end of anything that tried to kill human beauty and human consciousness. So, it's the end of that kleptocratic behavior, stealing our data, stealing our beauty, stealing our breath, stealing our essence, stealing our capacity to bond and be creators, eternal beings on this earth plane that are rising into divine essences. As we look around, it is over and done with anything that happened in Hollywood, the sex, the slavery, the control that is completely collapsing because we are creating a complete unified front for freedom and liberation. So we need to move out of anything that is discomfort, disempowering you, and that can only come through light coding selves direct into your source and reconnecting with the divine alpha omega antenna that has always been there. It has only been restationed. So the end of the game through this lunar eclipse that is coming through Gemini, the truth of the black way that cuts through it like a knife. That is really true black power in a positive sense, not as that black satanic power which you find on the internet. It is the institutionalization of this black universe, the black beauty that merges with the higher communication systems, which is actually Mercury. And so all the truth will come to a final and deeper light. It cannot be held back, because if we look at what governmental institutions are trying to do, it is pretty clear that they are falling apart as people will choose light far away from anything that kills your breath and your divine essence. So it is actually with this lunar eclipse that every element, if we think about elements like star systems, crystal kingdoms, or herbal kingdoms, and so forth, are set into truth through the dark violet ray. That is a very dark black purple ray that hosts the elements. And so that light moves along with the great inventors, so which I term green light go, or justice moving through. And so if you'd like to connect with an eclipse and get the ecliptical orbings through your brain, you can literally eclipse any dual consciousness that still resides in your brain, in your energy fields, in your body, in your environment, because it is seen too much. People still give power to the outside forces, such as, yes, but my colleagues do not understand it, but the outside world, but the government, but do not pay attention to that. Do your thing, do your job. You have an assignment. And so, everywhere where there is dual chords and within yourself, you can literally eclipse them. And an easier way to merge with that is alignment to the great central moon and essentially the great central sun, of course, because we are all sun streams. And when you load the origin of your particular color in a sun stream, that blasts through the dual chords as well. And that is the job we need to do. Instead of talking about duality, just blast and breathe through it wherever you go, wherever you are on this beautiful earth plane, because that is essentially what you need to do as a light being. And stepping into light demands that this is part of your assignment, actually, and not enough people are doing it. Still, too many are giving their power away, asking the divine or divine essences, such as the Christ essence, to run through them instead of really breaking the dams within and doing it themselves. How disrespectful can it get, truly? Because all deities are on the earth plane, the teams of light are on the earth. Instead, they have grown into new essences, of course, because nobody stops their growth, neither do masters, neither do elements, neither does the animal kingdom. So it's not up to us to ask the entity that brought Christ consciousness onto the planet to ask him to run through us. No, no, no. We need to get into the ascension ourselves and learn from many teachings and how it can be done through crystalline kingdoms that have been encoded to get there. So that is the power of eternal light within, and coming on to equal grounds with the masters that have already grounded in certain places on the earth plane right now. Yes, right now. So it's a matter of reconnecting, getting your communication waves out, or telepathic communication waves, and reconnecting the dots through the grid. So many are talking about the dots. It's really fusing the dots that creates these linear lines and vertical and horizontal ley lines into a grid in which that allow actually for information to come through. And then we can work our body all the way up in to the ascension, into the higher hearing, into the atmospheres of light music and light communication. So with this lunar eclipse, I would definitely suggest to work with Arcturus, so within a celestial body, in order to feel that vibration coming through. If we think about Arcturus, is that right? Arc, you and us. Yeah, arc, you and us. So that means it's a gathering. And so when you align to that, and you could definitely ask for a black arc technology that goes with the eclipse. That is massive, what we can eclipse through that, as it lands essentially in the glandular system. And it would be great to just have that landing in your pituitary gland and let it move in and out, and let it break the dams of yesterday and any dual consciousness, because many are still dealing with that. Because on the other hand, if we look at the energies, which is termed Gemini, it's dualistic, right? They have two light flames on them, especially with the eclipse. It comes through triangular equation, meaning we are moving from dualistic content, because a lot of truth will blow through during that beautiful lunar eclipse, into triangular equations. So because that is what arcs of light bring through versus duality. So it's actually the working mechanics through the eyelet way with the black arc, and then the truth that comes through the communication waves in lavender light, that breaks that through, and combining that together and really sitting with it, writing down what you need to release, be an observer essentially, and work with it for a few hours in meditation for a few days after, during, and before the eclipse. that will bring the biggest change into your life. So it is arc energy brings everything to a highest point and eliminates very, very quickly. That is actually the essence of an eclipse, if you like to term it that way. So it is actually a time to bring communication to a higher level of self-expression. Reason why is because love cannot shine through light unless we transcend dual chords, duality, dual thinking, and giving power to anything outside of you. And so think about the alpha omega antenna, align to it, and so shine through the old antennas, because this is really the time you can blow through it and so experience the lavender, violet, and black waves on the same degrees as they move into reinventing life on the planet, moving from duality, dual consciousness, Gemini, into the Aquarian age, green light, go, inventions, create to invent to create, and thus in triangular equations and triangular waves. So I would strongly suggest to always work your light through a triangular equation. So because listening to the newscast, listening to what people have to say, cuts you off your light stream if these words are being said in dual consciousness. So it's looking beyond them and not believe in these lower vibrations, because you can certainly expect loads and loads of rapid healing when doing the work and not giving your power away or asking some entity to move through you to do the work for you. Don't allow yourself to move in such a disrespectful low degree of consciousness. Do it yourself or ask the masters, angelic kingdoms, or whatever teams of light you are working with how to do it yourself, because that is the way to go. And reason why people run so slow is asking some other entity to do it for them. It doesn't work. It's old consciousness. The same goes like there's like almost 200,000 people who think they are the Messiah. Jesus H. Gosh, that is such an old thing. What would you say to the entity that was Jesus Christ light and has moved into being Archangel Zachary if you meet him on the airplane? Hey, I'm the Messiah. Good day to you. Gosh, I mean, that is how much stupidity is still running rampant on the airplane. And so we are all being nudged to truly move into self-mastery as an eternal being. And that can be re-institutionalized in the body and integrated with all the ways of creations to work with at least the first 22 ways, with diamond ways, with copper ways. There's so much, but you need the knowledge, you need the intelligence to do so, and how to set a foundation at least back into your eternal vibrations, where the skills can move back in, where your authenticity move back in, and when you start to remember. Because when moving on the astral planes, then there is all these dualistic mud that keeps you down. So we need at least to move into the celestial body, train ourselves and hold ourselves into these higher level vortexes of the celestial bodies, and then you will feel that all the bricks will be broken down through the tricks of the crystalline grids. Ain't that something, right? and that is that you create that beautiful unified front. We need to come out with petitions and work together in a community. And so in 2020, so many people have tried together, have tried, but trying is nothing. You need to dig through it, because trying means like, I have no time for this now, I have no time for this now. And then they will never have time, because they reside in soul egotistical consciousness. That's all there is to it. So they don't really want to be removed from that content and move into, let's say, in a field where such a thing as I cannot do it or I have no time, which we call excuses, do no longer exist. It's cognitive dissonance, actually, because light coding through source is everyday work. It never stops. So all of your organism needs to spin out of the game that was playing out and stepping into your own light without victim consciousness, because too many still move in victim consciousness. I don't have this, I don't have that. So create together, ask for help, and create a community. Community gatherings should happen at least once a week to uplift each other and move very rapid, at least from this beautiful lunar eclipse that is stepping in with big panto steps, you know, these big pads. By the way, it's the big Black Panthers, sorry, lunar eclipse on a celestial level, and so the black light Earth moon moving through, and in the higher level, that is essentially the black dragon that makes the Earth tremble, and that is quite some power, because it has the power to quickly remove anything, should you wish to so, and should you do the work yourself. So we need to get that job done. We are designed to do that. We all have the assignment to cut through the dual chords and cut them through institutions, governments, schools, education, so that if we look at education, nothing is allowed. Education has been criminal to a point where entities were totally not allowed to think, and that is so off, so criminal, so abusive education. Still to this day, I see a lot of good efforts happening, but if we talk like an entity and invest, for example, in child focus or teach for all, and we come up with these new programs to get people into their health, into their wealth, and into knowing how the organism can be fed with the organism, the light organism actually of the earth, then they cut you off. So that is where we what we are at. So we have to cut the side educational systems off as well, because that brings nothing but destruction. And so I see a lot of people, and that is beautiful as well, that did choose to educate their children themselves, because there's nothing to learn at school. Mathematics are off, geometry is off, geography is off. People or little children need to learn about the divinity of the earth. They need to learn about how to not misuse the earth, but apply it to empower themselves and give back to the earth, because at that time the earth will give back a million times. And once our children learn about these beautiful things, then there is no animalistic abuse any longer. We will not abuse the good air that flows through the crystalline grids. If you're still breathing the air, the density of the earth, then that creates malfunctions in the body, in your organism, and in your bloodstream, in the water circulation. So there is a lot of healing work we can do. It's all available, and we are being asked to step into that force field of mastery in direct connect with your source, your spark, your spirit self, the three S's, right? So I think if you could just dress yourself up with light configurations and get your axis position in light, at least celestial degrees, and work really hard through these 3 days of transition, the lunar eclipse, and talk through the earth moon, and talk actually through the moonlight Europe moon and Io moon that circulates around Jupiter, and that is actually stationed in the throat. And that is also very important because these higher levels of truth will break through anyways because of these energies coming through. So that is eyelid, the communication, especially also through the lavender ray, and your black arc energy is basically all you need, and you can run that in special areas of the body. So for those who are interested in a very, very, very deep transforming meditation, I have that eclipse meditation to offer, which you can buy from my website, and which is a great transformation for the incoming 6 months. So really working or doing nothing during that eclipse will bring nothing in your life. Yes, we are light beings. Yes, we are eternal beings. So yes, we need to remember how to work our light through. After working with the mechanics of light, we open up the many levels of love within light. It's not the other way around. Many people work like, if I give love and I surround myself with love, light will open up. That's not how it was intentionally created. We need first the knowledge, the intuition, the intelligence to work with light, and that is the Black Omni Potent ray. That is a very high ray when it comes to intelligence and applying intelligence, such as in education. So also for those living in my area, I have the teachings of that eternal being initiated in opening up eternal light and streaming that through as in healing sessions. So it's going to be very special from the 30th of November until we come into the winter solstice. And that power will be felt from the 18th of December until we move into January, because it has never been that grand, that majestic, and that powerful. So I'll put out the eternal healer and initiate that to a 4-day seminar right away into the celestial bodies, in which you can work your way through languages of light, languages that transform instantly or catapult all consciousness out of the subconsciousness levels. Because if things are subconscious, how can you know what you need to delete? I mean, it's never that clear or obvious, and so duality created that field for you to just never know what is going on into your brains. And that was all created to take over your life, to take over your breath, to take over your beauty, to take over your bank account, to take just everything that you are. So you have to reclaim mastery and do the light work yourself instead of asking some entity to run through you. And then you will see the biggest changes coming through ever. Because if you can defeat duality everywhere that you go, even on the job, and you create a grid station over there, and your beam of light will flame through dual chords, then that breaks that old consciousness and gives these entities working with you the option to choose light versus the darkness or the dark forces. I've been doing that for more than 10 years with great results. People most of the time didn't know what happening because there was always something going on, either with a computer, either with cell phones, because it's electricity, right? So if we move the oceans through and move dual chords out with the oceans of light, oh boy, that is some stormy event. But then again, when everything comes back to rest, then we can see people opening up in so much beauty, so much purity, and that innocence and light. They start to understand, to awaken to these higher levels, not willing to wear the mask, of course, because if you mask yourself, you are part of the monstrous invasions that are still taking place in many places. So it's up to us truly to take responsibility, open up the light within, work with what is available, such as the lunar eclipse coming up, and then move into your own channeling capacity, because that is what I offer through the Eternal Self Initiation Seminar. I do have this online, and it goes over 15 weeks. It's extremely deep with massive healing processes for those willing to do that work, being initiated and then moving it or teaching it yourself to other people. And especially this age, or let's say 21, is certainly going to be about bringing the truth within truth, because 2020, to my consciousness, it was not enough truth. Digging really deeper is getting the blessings back to youth and to our children. There is still too much child trafficking, abuse, pornographic content that should never be on the airplane, should never be allowed on the internet, and all these things that brought a disgrace to humanity, to yourself. Because, sacred sexual encounters come through the breath, not through the genitals. So that is another healing procedure and reconnection to an eternal mate, actually. No more soul consciousness or ego, because soul equals soul in the Spanish language, soul. And so most stream on these old soul or solar flares that broke the body. If we look at how fat some bellies and especially the sacred garden became, that is due to dual chords. So when eliminating this dual chords and reintegrating the origin of your sun stream, which is one of the 12 ways of creation, then you can work with that simply day in, day out. But some foundation is needed. People truly need to understand that if we want to run a car, we cannot just take a carcass and put in the keys and make it running. We need the oil, we need water, we need gasoline, whatever. You understand? So most people also, when they build light body, that is actually a temple of light that you create from and expand upon, you know, from a light foundation with the ways of creation into the higher spiritual body, into the higher mental bodies, and the etherical bodies, and beyond that into the origin of your essence, so into the celestial universal body. So that takes work, but it should be fun to do, because once you understand what light can do and eliminate on daily basis, then you can eliminate everything what is happening out there. You can do that. You just need to know how to do that. And so that is here for those surrounding me in Belgium, that I will do this year, a 4-day seminar around the solstice, because that is going to power up everybody. And so people at least have the equipment how to step into their eternal light along the antennas that are needed, and remembering how to work with light. So, and that opens up the degrees of love within, from one level into the other, from the heart into the high heart, and reconnecting all these wavelengths. So it gets really interesting. So let's say I truly suggest you to not miss out on this beautiful lunar eclipse. Enjoy it. Work with arc consciousness, or if you'd like to do the eclipse meditational session with me, it's available on my website. I will have the links down there in the description box. And or should you have any other questions, other than that, I wish you good luck. Please keep your energy levels safe. Do not give up into dual chords. Lift yourself into the light chords and remain in those celestial vibrations that are streaming through a high level today. Other than that, bless you, assist our children and youth and the elderly as much as you can. That is needed. Even small little meditational sessions, at least to teach them how to work with light. That would be very, very beneficial, because it will always give some stationary release, and that is actually the goal we need to put out and to establish new educational system, new health through the herbal kingdoms, and especially new economics, because what they're doing right now is killing all these small businesses, and there's no simple reason for it. There is no sickness, there is nothing. They are really actually making themselves ridiculous. They're just showing us how much stupidity and crap they host in their brain, and still thinking they can take over the world. We assimilate, we rise into our mastery and hold on to it, I would say. So good luck. See you next week, okay? Thank you.